So she tends to like exaggerate because she doesn't feel like she has enough ground on the argument as it is to win it. So she has to play unfair by creating other things to justify it. So if you find yourself exaggerating your points of view so that you can win the argument, chances are you're probably in a power struggle. And so staying to the facts, the situation as it is, don't exaggerate, don't extrapolate, stay with the situation as it is, and you'll find that your arguments will be less severe and you'll be able to work towards resolution. Next one, and this is the hardest one. This is the hardest one. Delineate your needs from your wants. Your needs are what? What you have to have in order to get to the other end of this argument. That's it. Your bottom line, what you have to have in order to be able to resolve this. Not so you can win, but to resolve. Your wants set you up to get what you need to win, right? And so what happens in an argument is we go in with this long list of wants, okay? Because we figure we're only going to get this chance once. So we're going to bring our list and we throw it down on the table there, and that's when we have the argument. And I want you to do this and this and this. And chances are it's a little overwhelming for the other person. So if you're able to just focus in on your need, I need you to respect me a little bit more and listen to my point of view. I need you to take a time out and calm down so we can talk. I need you to do whatever. It's a very short list, usually one or two things, because your needs are based in your values, right? Or in the immediate situation. So if you focus in on that, you'll get a lot further. But when you go in with your list of wants, you can't accomplish any type of compromise when you go in with your wants. Okay? You go in as a bully when you go in with your wants. Okay, reflection and discussion time here. Think about the last argument that you had with someone in which this person would not cooperate with you. What were your needs and wants in that situation? I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to discuss this, okay? So it doesn't have to be a kid. It could be somebody in your personal life. Try to protect confidentiality as best as you can. Thank you. And discuss your need and your want in that argument. Go ahead. Yes, thank you.
Getting my wife to clean the dishes.
Okay, so you guys are having an argument about her leaving the dishes?
We work out their schedules. I work nights, she works days. I come home at midnight, and she makes a huge dinner. My wife's a fabulous cook. She fixes everything from scratch. But at the same time, like the kitchen's a disaster every time I come home. And there's not even a plate waiting for me, which would even motivate me at least to clean up. And I do the dishes every night, and it takes like at least 30 minutes.
Okay. And so you've had an argument about this before?
I had an argument about it
a million times. Okay. Not that you're exaggerating. Not that you're not staying in the here and now.
It really, really bugs me.
Okay. So, what did you need from her to do?
I need her to acknowledge the fact that even though I've mentioned it nicely a few times, that it obviously is bothering me. To clean up after yourself.
Okay, so if I can put you on the hot spot for a moment, okay? So underneath this is probably a value, a core value of some sort.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would that value be?
Like, to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind doing the dishes if I had just the appreciation that I did them every night. I think in my head,
okay.
Now I know my wife loves me very much, but in my head I have it like, she's just, it's almost like she's taking advantage of the situation. She knows I'm going to do them because it bothers me that much that she'll just leave them. And then.
So the core value then for you would be to be appreciated, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so when she's not doing the dishes, it's taking that little guitar string of value and plucking it, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you kind of crazy, right? Okay. So when you had your last argument, did you go in with a whole list of wants?
Yeah.
You did? Okay, so what kinds of things were on that list?
Well, just the fact, I think I remember just saying that just because you think it's okay, that doesn't mean it's okay with me. I mean, leaving the dishes out. So, if I don't do them, that means I'm just going to wait for you to do it, and it's just going to pile up and pile up.
Okay.
I think it just kind of went to, you might be okay with clutter and stuff like that because you don't feel motivated to do it at that time, but that doesn't mean that I don't live here too. And
right. So what you needed then in that situation was for her to appreciate the fact that you're being stuck doing this, right? And that you needed her to then at least rinse off the dishes or something of that nature, right?
Right. Or like I said, even if she would have left me a plate.
A plate.
You know what I mean? I come home, at least I'm part of the dinner too. She made it. I would have no problem cleaning it up. Or even if like she did something else for me that she wouldn't have to do, for example, she went out of her way in another way to compensate for me doing the dishes.
Because the need is to be appreciated, right?
Right, exactly. And see, well, like, you know what I mean? Like, if suddenly, like, I came home and she, she maybe baked me my favorite dessert for doing the dishes once a week or something like that.
Okay.
You understand?
Sure.
I'd be like, okay, this is worth me doing the dishes to get this every week.
Is it safe to say that your list of wants included her putting all the food away, cleaning up the counters, washing all the dishes, putting them away? Would that be on your want list?
Yeah.
Okay, but on your need list, you just need a clean plate to eat.
To be honest, I just need the appreciation. Basically, that's what I need. If she actually like said thank you every day for it, or something, or wrote me a card or something, I wouldn't mind doing it.
Okay, great. So then in your next argument, if you kind of focus in on that need as opposed to the kvetching about the whole situation and wanting her to change all of it, just, please appreciate my time is important too. And, I've worked all day and I'm coming home and I'm eating or whatever. I'd like you to appreciate that. You'll probably get further with it. Thank you. Thank you for taking that risk. Anybody else want to take a risk? Thank you. Thank you.
My argument was because my husband was hunting in Canada for a week, and so I'm home with the kids, 2 kids, and we just got a new puppy, and I'm back at work, and then he came home, and then I was going Girl Scout camping with my daughter on Friday, and he came home and said, I had to count to 10 when I came home because the kitchen wasn't very clean. So if you had to count to 10 and you kind of got over it, then why do you really need to say that? Because I tried. So all I wanted him to was to say I appreciate that I just go to Canada for a year for a week and come home with kids by yourself. And but instead I got count to 10 so I didn't get mad at me and say something. But I'm telling you that it wasn't.
That's a little passive aggressive too. Yeah. Can I spot it? I must have glasses on for passive aggressive behavior. But okay, so then your need in that situation versus your wants. What was on your want?
I want him to just realize that it's a lot of work being home with 2 kids and 2 dogs and work full time when you're out, sitting in a tree stand.
Right. So
I really just wanted him to say, hey, thanks for, taking care of all of this while I'm gone. And he'll say, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Then I would go back to that I statement and say, I feel that you're not being sincere when you say that you appreciate it because it seems, and I imagine that you really don't mean those things because it doesn't come across in your words. But thank you. So yeah, your need then is to just recognize that you made a sacrifice for him to do his thing, right?
Can I ask you a question about that I part? Because I feel like I can do the I feel when you think and I imagine. I feel like that would be the part that could potentially imagine that you were thinking about me when you're
bring that right down to the core value. Whatever that statement is should be reflective of the core value. And
I imagine that you did appreciate that you
Yeah.
were to go.
well, I imagine that you didn't appreciate the sacrifice I made for you to go.
I can see that being trouble.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you don't want to say, look at you, you got to do blah, 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 and I'm stuck here with the kids. But in reality, you did make a sacrifice so that he can go. You took on more responsibility. And so I feel angry when you come back and point out the dishes weren't being done or whatever while you're in Canada, because I worked really hard on doing the best I can, and I imagine that you don't appreciate the sacrifice that I made so that you can go. Somehow I think my email is going to be lighting up now. Okay, next rule, using fair fighting techniques for active listening skills, okay? So you guys are professionals, this is kind of a review for you, but with parents and with kids, this can be invaluable. So teaching kids how, or adults for that matter, how to use active listening skills is beautiful. Because the active listening skills, I don't know if you realize this or not, but we do this as counselors and social workers and psychologists naturally, okay? Like we even do those nonverbals, you know, that kind of a thing without even realizing it. You know, like when you're in the grocery store and the person could smell the Prozac on you and they come up and they start spilling their guts about everything and you naturally want to go and you have to go No, don't respond, I want them to go away. So you do the active listening skills without even thinking about it. But the other person doesn't. And so this is something that you can teach kids how to do. The reflecting statements, reflecting of content, reflecting of words, so they can parrot back exactly what was said, so that they take turns back and forth saying what the other person was saying. That engages that prefrontal lobe where rational thought and higher reasoning comes into play, and it disengages the limbic system, which we'll talk about in a second. So clarifying, you know, as far as, so when your husband came home from Canada and jumped all over your case, you felt angry because you felt he didn't appreciate you. I'm clarifying what it is. I'm asking for clarifying statements or probing. What about that situation really bothered you? What value, I asked, what value, core value is at place in that situation? So these are probing things. And then validating. These are all active listening skills that you guys use all the time, ad nauseum. But teaching other people, kids, adults, to use these helps them to have better arguments. This is a little hard to see, but there's anger on one side and rational thought on the other. I was struggling a number of years ago trying to explain to folks that if they argue when they're angry, they're going to argue to win. And that if they can argue rationally, then they'll argue to resolve. And so it occurred to me that anger and rational thought are like two ends of a seesaw. So as anger starts to increase, rational thinking starts getting worse and worse and worse. And so if you can get the person to start engaging that rational brain and start talking rationally, then the anger starts to decrease. It works. It works. And so I always ask people, do you want to ask them how they feel? And they say, yeah, if I'm going to be a good, active listening skills, I'm going to say, so tell me how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? But you already know how they feel, right? They're mad. They're mad. So when you ask them, why do you feel the way you feel? What about that situation makes you feel so angry? Then you're getting them to engage that rational thinking, because they have to start thinking at that point. If they're caught in I'm mad, then anger's way up here, the limbic system's firing like crazy, the amygdala's going nuts. Nothing is making any sense. Nothing's going to work except engaging that prefrontal cortex. And then slowly, as they start thinking rationally, then the anger goes down. And so when you're in an argument, if you find yourself losing control and you're way up here with anger, then you can do a lot of these same things. Start asking yourself, what about this situation is making me mad? Not that the fact I'm mad, blah, 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 but why is that a problem for me? What core value is being trampled on that I'm so angry? And in doing that, the rational thinking starts kicking up and the anger starts going down. And it works like magic. Works like magic. Okay. How are we on time here? Okay. So, the 3 A's of customer service. Picture this. You and your significant other decide that you're going to go out for a night on the town. Okay? And you've made reservations at an expensive place for dinner. And you know you're going to drop a lot of cash. You're okay with that because it's a special event. Maybe it's your anniversary or someone's birthday or something. So you get all dressed up and maybe you even order a limo or something like that and, I don't know, get a new shirt or a new blouse or whatever, okay? So it's a special event. You go out to the restaurant, you've made reservations for 7 o'clock, you arrive at 7 o'clock and they're busy. They can't take you right away. So you're a little annoyed because you made reservations and they gave your table away to somebody else. But you're fine. You wait and then you go through dinner and everything is late, okay? You can't get your server's attention. They only come by like once every 15 minutes. In fact, you're sitting with the menu for a long time. They bring you bread and you start filling up on bread and you get really irritated. Your food comes, it's poorly prepared. You send it back. You get attitude from the server, okay? She rolls her eyes or he rolls his eyes and brings it back, and then you know they're going to spit in it, right? And so, just saying. So bring it back, and by the end of the meal, you're really kind of beside yourself. All the fun has gone out of your evening. So you ask to speak to the manager. What's one thing you want the manager to do? Listen and apologize, right? You want him to, or her, because I don't want to be sexist, you want them to agree that it's unacceptable, right? And you want them to apologize for it. If you get both of those things, will you try that restaurant again? Yes. Chances are you will, because any restaurant can have a bad night, right? But if you don't get these things, will you go back? No. Why? Why won't you? Your needs weren't met. They didn't care enough about you. They weren't invested in you. They were only invested in their profit. You take it personally, right? The same thing is true in arguments, okay? So when we argue, if we don't agree with the person and apologize for something in the argument, we're just yelling at each other. So if you practice good customer service, agree with them that they have a right to their emotions. Agree with them that, yes, it may seem that my rules are unfair. Yes, it may seem yada, yada, yada. And I'm sorry for that. You can apologize 1,000 times. For those of you who hate to apologize, you can apologize 1,000 times and never once admit that you were wrong. Did you know that? I'm going to say that again.
Take one. Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way.
No. I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. Was I wrong? Did I say I was wrong? No. I'm sorry you're so angry.
The subtext is, I'm sorry, I did something, you had a reaction, that's on you.
You added that. That's on you part. I'm not saying that.
I think then it's not an apology.
Well, here's the thing, okay? So check this out. Thank you for jumping ahead there, okay? We usually follow up with but, don't we? I agree with you that it sounds like maybe I'm patronizing you, and that is unacceptable, and I'm sorry for that, but you really need to listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to do that again. I agree with you that it might be patronizing you, and that's unacceptable, and I'm sorry about it, but you're an idiot. You might as well just say, but you're an idiot, because you totally negated anything that you had said before that. So when you use the word and instead of but, it changes the tone just enough that the person isn't ready to attack you back. A professor in my PhD program, lovely elderly woman, she's in her 70s and she's just as sweet as could be, and a nice good old Catholic lady, and she said, and you know what, I forgot who it was, and you know what so-and-so said about the word but? And we're like, what? She said, everything after is elephant shit. I'm like, what? What? The moment we hear the word but, we're ready for our rebuttal. We come right back ready to argue again. And so if you can train yourself to eliminate that word but and use the word and instead, it has a different emotional impact. It's subtle, but it's important. Remember, we're not trying to win the argument. So I'm not trying to get you to admit that you're wrong. I'm not trying to get you to admit that I'm right. I'm trying to get to the other side of the argument. And that's why it's so critical. We want to use this because we want to convince the other person that we're right. And as long as you do that, this isn't going to do anything. But if you're trying to resolve the conflict, look for some type of a solution to this, then eliminating but, agreeing and apologizing will work. So the situation at the restaurant happened to me. It's a true story, so I could tell you it. Went to this place in Columbus, Ohio. It was on a Saturday. They have a gallery hop kind of a thing. And I went there and I told them I need to be at work at 10 o'clock at night. I was a bartender at the time. And no problem, no problem. Everything was late. Everything went wrong. And so I was furious by the end of it because I was not going to get my food in time to be able to get to work. So I asked to speak to the manager. And he said, I don't take complaints on gallery hop Saturdays. Well, guess what? Who was not ready to go back to the table? Okay? I was not ready to go back to the negotiation table. And when you feel like the other person is not willing to negotiate, you won't go back to the negotiation table. And neither will they. So if you use good customer service skills, and I've been doing this now for a long time, and I can tell you that it actually works. Yes?
Can you give an example with and? Because I'm trying to think in my mind how I would use and instead of but.
Okay. So I'll do a simple one with putting the dishes away, okay, or cleaning up the dishes, since that seems to be a hot topic here. So I agree with you that sometimes it may seem like I'm really picky about the dishes, and I'm sorry that offends you so much, and I still need to get the kitchen clean. Can you help me? Okay? But if I said it, I agree with you that the dishes, it seems like I'm a little picky about getting the dishes put away or whatever, and I'm really sorry about that, but you've got to do it anyways. So the moment I say but, we instinctively respond. Okay, so I want you to marinate on this over lunch, okay? And we're going to come back afterwards and we're going to do a small group activity again. So go ahead and form a line. You know the drill here, or if you don't, take your visual cues and herd on into the trough.